Hello everyone, it's Scott here, and in this video I'll show you how to use the vent skip glitch and the weapon skip glitch in order to easily beat Metal Gear Solid. Now this works on all platforms, so let's get to it. Now to make this run as easy as possible, it's advised to play through the game normally first and obtain the bandana, which is of course obtained by surviving the torture sequence, which in turn results in Meryl being saved at the end of the game. But on your second playthrough, start the game as normal and collect as many equipment as you can, such as chaff grenades and SOCOM, and then head down to the B1 cells. Now if this was a speedrunning tutorial, I would be explaining that at this point it is where we do the actual vent skip glitch, and the vent that we will use can be seen here, which is highlighted in orange. But instead we're going to proceed forward through the game as normal in terms of going through the vents, speaking to the DARPA chief, and then surviving the encounter with the soldiers that appear. Once we've finished the encounter here, we will then be going up to the first floor again and using the level 1 ID card that we got from the DARPA chief to enter this room here so that we can collect the SOCOM suppressor. After we've got the SOCOM suppressor, we will then go down to the B2 armory and use the ID card again to collect as many accessories and weapons as we can in the area, such as C4, grenades, chaff grenades, and stun grenades. And of course, while we're here, we're going to blow up the walls as well, so that again, we can collect the weapons that are located behind these walls. Once we've collected all the weapons that we can in this area, we'll then proceed forward to the boss fight with Revolver Ocelot and defeat him as normal.
You're pretty good. Just what I'd expect from the man with the same code as the boss.
So with Revolver Ocelot defeated, not only do we get a health upgrade, but we also get the level 2 card, which can be used to collect the FAMAS in the armory, but also the mine detector from the first floor upstairs. Once we've done that, we'll head back down to the B1 cells and we can actually start the vent skip glitch. So the vent skip glitch is done at this vent that's just outside the ladders before you go up to meet the DARPA chief, and it has a ration inside. And it's a very easy glitch that skips practically half the game. And what you need to do is to go prone and crawl into the vent, but not so much that it goes into first person view. What you need to do is to line up Snake's body with the edge of the vent, go into first person view, look up, and then letting go of those buttons while standing up will result in Snake standing up in the vent. You can then go into first person view mode to see if the glitch has worked. You'll know it's worked if you can see the void darkness beyond, as well as the flashing dot on the radar showing your current location. Now that we've got that out of the way, it's just a simple step of walking around the corner to the actual torture room in order to trigger the event sequence that will take us further into the actual game. So at this point, you'll need to look at the radar in the top right hand corner of the screen and follow the little white dot as you go all the way to the actual doorway. You can press the first person view mode button to help with this, so you can easily find where the door should be. But then once you've seen it, let go and walk into the doorway for the cutscene to trigger, and you'll be taken all the way to the actual cell before the torture sequence.
Huh? Looks like I got a roommate. The DARPA chief? Whew. What a stench.
You'll now find yourself in the cell just after the first sniper wolf fight, but interestingly you still have all of the equipment and weapons you had before you did the glitch. Now this little bug will fix itself after the first torture sequence, but there's a bigger issue at play here. Once you've done this glitch, you won't be able to use any weapons prior to the tank boss fight. Fortunately, those bugs can be resolved by visiting the locations of those boss fights, with the exception being the Hind D battle, in which we need to do the weapon skip glitch in order to get past that fight, but I'll get to that later in this video. For the time being at least, we just need to proceed forward as normal through the game.
Press the circle button repeatedly to regain your strength. When you've had enough, press the select button to submit. When your life reaches 0, the game is over. There are no continues, my friend. Don't even think about using auto fire. or I'll know.
As this is my second playthrough of Metal Gear Solid, I could just submit to the torture here in order to get the stealth camo ending with Otacon. But as demonstrated here, because we defeated Revolver Ocelot earlier in the game, we have a bigger health bar, and as a result it can make surviving this torture sequence a little bit easier if you're going through the game on your first playthrough. But as you can clearly see, as we've skipped a large chunk of the game, the life bar is shorter than normal, and that's simply because we've skipped all the boss fights where you would be given your upgrades. So this is more designed for doing it on a second playthrough if you've already obtained the good ending with Meryl and got the bandana. But if you're good enough and quick enough and have got that health upgrade by defeating Ocelot, you should be able to survive the torture sequence here with the health that we have remaining. After escaping the cell, head to the B2 armory to collect any remaining weapons that you would have missed by doing this glitch. Sadly, you won't be able to pick up the weapons or use them at this point in time as you're in a glitch state. So when you try and use the weapons, it will come up saying empty and not do anything. Fortunately, this bug will resolve itself as we play through the game, but for the time being, we need to go and collect the weapons in order for them to appear in our inventory. If we do not have the weapons in our inventory, then we will not be able to use them later in the game. After collecting the weapons from the B2 armory, proceed through the game as normal, and when you go outside where the tank battle encounter would be, you'll notice that the tank has been destroyed. This is a result of the vent skip glitch where we skipped a large chunk of the game, and when you go through the doors at the end of this area, you'll get a little sequence where you'll notice Snake's health bar increase, just as it would do if you had completed the boss battle. At this point, to get the next health upgrade, we have to go to floor B1 inside the nuclear warhead facility, and then head to the first room on the right where we can find Nikita missiles. But while we're here, we may as well collect the other weapons and accessories that can be found in this room. After which, proceed back down to the B2 area and use the Nikita missile to destroy the electrified flooring, and then, while inside this area, collect all the remaining items that can be found, such as the gas mask, shaft grenades, and stun grenades. Once again, proceed through the game as normal, and when you enter the lab, which should begin the cyborg ninja fight, instead you'll be given the cutscene with a health upgrade. You'll notice as well that Snake is not standing in the area where he should usually be stood during the end of the battle, but is instead stood at the doorway. But regardless, we've been given the health upgrade and can also pick up more weapons and accessories than we would have been allowed to before. Afterwards, head back to the elevator and go to floor B1. Then follow the room round and head towards the Psycho Mantis boss fight room. When you enter, instead of the Psycho Mantis boss fight taking place, the camera will be looking at the bookcase that should have moved to allow you access to the cave and the underground passageway. As a result of the vent skip glitch that we did earlier, the bookcase hasn't moved, but you'll still be able to walk through it and progress forward into the cave and underground passageway. Continuing through the game as normal, when you enter the communications tower and trigger the alert, be sure to collect the stun grenades and rope that are next to you. The rope is required in order to rappel down the communications tower once you reach the top. There is another way to skip this sequence, and that's known as the Boba skip, where if you lean up against that door we've just passed and get shot, Snake will clip through the door, triggering the cutscene sequence for the next phase of the game, which takes place on this walkway. Carry on through the game, and when you enter Communications Tower 2, you'll notice the Stinger missile and its ammo on the floor. Unfortunately, as with the weapons before, you won't be able to use the Stinger, and the Stinger is required in order to destroy the Hind D. Fortunately, this is where the weapon skip glitch comes into effect. It's a pretty lengthy process, but at the same time, it's quite easy to pull off. Once you enter the communications tower with the elevator, head right and follow the stairs all the way down until you trigger the cutscene.
Damn!
At this point, turn around and run back up the stairs until you get back to the door that you entered the room in. Be sure not to follow the path round, otherwise you might trigger a cutscene in which Otacon appears in his stealth camo. Instead, what you'll want to do is to stay on this bit of walkway with the ammo crates so that you have enough room to do the weapons glitch. In order to do the weapons glitch, make sure that you have the level 6 idea card equipped, and then have your grenades ready. Throw a grenade towards the wall, then prone and crawl away slightly from the grenade. Then select a shaft grenade to hold in your hand, and when you get hit by the grenade, unequip the ID card and go into first person view mode, and at the same time wiggle the analog stick and the D-pad. Afterwards, select the stinger from your inventory, and instead of holding the stinger, Snake will be holding a shaft grenade. Hold the shaft grenade until it explodes and damages Snake, and then when you try and swap to another weapon, the stinger will disappear. The steps required to activate this glitch can be quite daunting, but you can use Snake's cry for pain when he gets hit by the grenade as a cue for when you need to de-equip the ID card and go into first person view mode. You'll know you've done the weapons glitch correctly when you haven't got the Stinger missile in your inventory. But more obvious than that is that when you go around the corner, you'll notice that the boxes have disappeared. In fact, the boxes haven't actually disappeared, but have become invisible, as you can still line up against the boxes at the bottom. Now you'll want to run up the stairs all the way to the top while throwing shaft grenades and avoiding the machine gun security cameras. Once you've reached the top of the communication tower's stairs, climb the ladder to enter the small little room that's on the roof of the communications tower. Now, instead of entering the boss fight by exiting this room in the usual way, climb back down the ladder so that you go back into the stairs of the communication tower. At this point, go back down the stairs of the communication tower until you reach the boxes that were blocking your path. The reason why we exited the communication tower stairwell and went into that small little room on the top of the roof is so that we could reset this stairwell into how it would be before we would meet Otacon. And it is this reset of the stairwell that we need in order to skip the Hind D boss battle, as without a stinger we cannot defeat the Hind D boss. When running down the stairs in the communications tower, be sure to keep an eye out for this last turret gun. This turret gun is a good marker to use as to when to slow down when running down the stairs, as if you were to carry on running, you'd run over the boxes and end up breaking the glitch and having to do it all over again in order to progress forward. Instead, slow down at the last corner, and then once you get to the boxes, slowly walk into them until you pop on top of them. Afterwards, move left, and then Snake will just suddenly descend all the way down to the bottom. At this point, you have skipped the actual Hind D boss battle, and then you'll be able to proceed forward until the Sniper Wolf second encounter. Once you get to the second Sniper Wolf encounter, you can easily defeat her by using the Nikita missile. Simply head to the left hand side of the area and hide behind this tree, and then you'll be able to fire off Nikita missiles and guide them towards her direction. Once you've dealt enough damage, Sniper Wolf will move and start to attack Snake, so at this point you'll want to move to the opposite side of the map and hide behind some rocks so that you can fire off some more Nikita missiles in order to take her out. Defeating Sniper Wolf not only gives Snake his health upgrade, but it also allows us to use the Stinger missile. At the moment in time, we do not have the Stinger missile, so we'll have to proceed forward onto the second disc and then backtrack in order to obtain it. Once you've loaded into the second disc, which begins at the blast furnace, turn around and make your way back through the battlefield and towards the communications tower. Now, on the bottom level of the communications tower, you'll be able to press the elevator button and call the elevator to go back up to the 9th floor. When you get to the 9th floor, you'll notice that the boxes that were blocking your way previously are all now stacked up. This is because the game thinks you've defeated the Hind D boss and is now progressing as normal. As such, you can now go back to the room with the Stinger missile and collect it along with any ammo. At this point, the game is now acting as it should do, and you'll be able to proceed as normal in order to beat the final boss and in turn complete the game in a much shorter time period than you would have thought possible. To finish off this video, I'll show you what you now need to do in order to complete the game. Firstly, go back to the blast furnace and continue on as you would do normally. Now, when you get to the first elevator, move and shoot to avoid getting hit. Once you get to the Vulcan Raven boss fight, use a mixture of Nikita missiles, grenades and the Stinger to deal damage. Towards the end of this fight, be sure to use the Stinger as this can lock onto Vulcan Raven when he walks past. After this boss battle, head to the Metal Gear Rex room and reach the top. When you enter the control room, you'll see a cutscene where Snake ends up losing the PAL key. This PAL key ends up dropping on the ground floor of the Metal Gear Rex room, and unfortunately for us, a rat has eaten it. As such, equip the mine detector that we collected near the beginning of the game and go round to the left side of the room. To ensure that you do not get hit by the turret gun hiding on the wall, use a Stinger to destroy it. This way you've got plenty of time to go up and down the stairs leading into the drainage system of the Metal Gear Rex room. Afterwards, go down the stairs and into the water, as this will cause the rat to start moving through the vents in the Metal Gear Rex room. Look at the radar and you'll notice a blinking red dot, which I've highlighted here in orange. This blinking red dot is the rat, and when it starts moving upward toward the vent, get out of the water and plant a C4 in front of the vent. Now, go into first person view mode, and once the rat leaves the vent, simply detonate the C4 to kill the rat and then collect the PAL key. With the PAL key once again in your possession, you can now enter it 3 times in the control room. The first of which is room temperature. The second PAL key needs to be cold, so in order to do this, we need to return to the area where we fought Vulcan Raven. Here, wait a few minutes and the PAL key will freeze, and then you'll be able to use it in the Metal Gear Rex control room. Next, you'll need to heat the PAL key, and this requires you to go back to the blast furnace room. Once here, head south into this little steam room. Waiting in here ensures that you won't be spotted by any of the soldiers patrolling the blast furnace room. Once again, you'll need to wait a few minutes in order for the PAL key to turn red, but once the PAL key has turned red, you'll be able to return back to the control room and use it. After using all 3 PAL keys, you'll be trapped inside the control room. At this point, equip the gas mask we collected earlier in the game and then call Otacon. You'll need to wait a few seconds before Otacon can disable the security. And with the gas mask equipped, you won't lose any health. With the security disabled, you can now leave the room and follow Liquid to begin the battle with Metal Gear Rex. For the first phase of the boss fight with Metal Gear Rex, simply throw shaft grenades and then use the Stinger to attack the radar dish. Using shaft grenades here seems to disrupt Metal Gear Rex's targeting system, and so he doesn't use missiles as much as he would usually. During the second phase, get close to Rex and then bombard the cockpit with missiles. Afterwards, you'll fight Liquid and you'll need to defeat him by reducing his health and then knocking him over the edge.
Slade!
With that out of the way, it's now just a car chase style gunfight to the end. But to make this a little bit easier, you can use the first person view mode to get a better firing angle on Liquid. This first person view mode can be used throughout the chase, and after a few minutes you'll reach the end of the tunnel and in turn the end of the game. Congratulations, you've now completed Metal Gear Solid using both the vent skip glitch and the weapons glitch in a single run. More importantly, you've done it in under 3 hours, which is a requirement to get the big boss ranking in the game, and the big boss ranking is tied to an actual trophy / achievement, so if you combine these techniques you'll be able to get that achievement within a run like this. But of course we didn't get it this time, but there's always something to learn for the future.
So where are you going, Dave?
I think it's time for me to look for a new path in life.
A new path?
A new purpose.
Will you find it?
I'll find it. I know I'll find it.